Phoenix never truly cools. It just learns to hide its heat. On March 1, 2025, the city woke to headlines no one expected. Body found on top floor of city center garage. Son's towel used to conceal face. Investigation ongoing. No witnesses, no camera footage, no suspects. Amanda Ruiz, 22, college senior, marketing major. She had no criminal record, no enemies, no reason to die alone 6 stories above Jefferson Street. But someone wanted her seen. She was the first. What the police missed was what he left behind. But a single Polaroid, taped beneath the windshield of a car 20 feet away. The image was of Amanda posed, hands bound in front of a theater backdrop. The caption, written in Sharpie, ATT. The room was thick with tension. Captain Morales stood at the front, arms crossed, while images from the flash drive looped silently on the screen behind her. Leo sat at the edge of the table, leaning forward, eyes locked on the static-framed photo of Amanda. He's not just taunting us, Morales said. He's curating, building a narrative. Detective Arjun Patel flipped through a printout of the Reddit post. It's performance art to him, and the city's his gallery. He's setting us up for something bigger, Leo said. This isn't about the kill, it's about control. We can't afford panic, Morales added. No press conferences, not yet. We keep this contained. Leo spoke without looking away from the screen. He's already ahead of us. Containment's a fantasy. Security footage later revealed a man in a Suns jersey, face obscured by a mask, walking calmly through the level 2 structure of the parking garage at 3rd Street in Washington. He stopped between 2 SUVs, reached into a black gym bag, and pulled out something small, a toy. He placed it on the concrete, a child's action figure, charred, wrapped in duct tape. Tucked underneath it, a note, scrawled in thick red marker. By the time it was found the next morning, the figure was half melted by the sun, but the message was intact. It was logged, photographed, and mistakenly classified as a prank. No one would connect it to the killer. Not yet. Walters Muir Hutheothemur. Leo and Morales stood side by side before the conference room's long table. Around them, the task force reviewed timelines, victim profiles, and crime scene photos. 3 bodies, Leo summarized. Amanda at 7th and McDowell. Kayla in the canal behind the strip mall. Holt on Loop 22. His finger traced across the map. Different locations, different victims, same signature. Detective Patel looked up. This isn't random. It's a performance. Morales folded her arms. A performance needs an audience, and they all saw Amanda's photo last night. Late evening, security footage captured the killer leaving an empty toy, a grim symbolic mark. The note beneath failed to tie him to the previous murders, but his message was clear. Leo Reeves stood at the edge of a dry canal behind a strip mall on 43rd Avenue. Trash floated in the shallows, a shopping cart half submerged in algae. This was where they found the second victim, Kayla Moreno, 19. Worked the night shift at the Walgreens up the road. Same zip ties, same towel, same silence. Kayla's murder was the one that told Leo it wasn't random. The sun hadn't broken fully yet, just that soft, dusty lavender glow spreading over the city. Morning in Phoenix had always felt like recovery. Sweat not yet risen, heat not yet unbearable, but today it felt stale. He scanned the scene, same as it was a month ago. Chain-link fence torn open. Homeless encampment nearby, long gone now. Graffiti tagging an old electric box with the words, "We all burn." He took out his phone, snapped a photo. Leo flashed his temporary badge and was buzzed into the basement archives of the downtown precinct. The air was cooler down there, filtered and forgotten. He made his way through stacks of boxes and metal cabinets until he found what he was looking for. Case 06721, GOU-M, Baseline Killer. He opened the box and pulled out an evidence folder. The layout was familiar. Victims spaced across neighborhoods. Female, isolated, often near bus stops or commercial strips. Strangled, masked attacker. But the difference? Goudeau killed fast, messy, impulsive. This guy wasn't impulsive. He was meticulous. He opened another folder. Canal Murders, 1992. Another Phoenix case. 2 women dumped in canals decades before, and now the canal again. Kayla. A pattern was forming, but it was stitched through time, almost like the killer was curating Phoenix's violent history, one body at a time. He moved back upstairs, needing air, and stepped into the precinct courtyard. Morales found him there, smoking a cigarette despite the no-smoking sign. "You think this guy's a student of the city's worst?" she asked. "Feels like it," Leo said. "He's not just reenacting. He's building a timeline, one murder per era. The sun's towel. Maybe it ties to the city's identity. It's not about the team. It's about what the team represents. Hope, loyalty, illusion." "You're reaching." "Maybe," Leo said. "But if I'm right, his next move won't be a murder. It'll be a message." Morales folded her arms. "He already left one." "No, that was bait. The real one's still coming." She nodded slowly. "We are compiling a list of anyone tied to Gudo. Family, friends, former inmates, anyone with a motive or memory. Start with the ones who idolize him," Leo said. "This guy isn't trying to hide. He wants us to see him, just not all at once." "You really believe there's a survivor out there?" Leo looked out past the courtyard wall toward the streets of Phoenix. "Not just a survivor, a witness, someone who got away." They started with hospitals. Leo pulled strings at St. Joseph's and Banner Health, asked for records tied to assault cases matching the pattern. Zip ties, tape, trauma. Most were redacted, some flagged as confidential. But then a name surfaced, filed as a Jane Doe. Admitted 3 weeks earlier, no ID. Found at a gas station on the outskirts of Tolleson. Disoriented, bruised wrists. Refused to speak. The nurse who admitted her said she'd come in barefoot, tape residue on her mouth, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Leo drove out there himself. The psych unit was quiet. 3rd floor, locked ward. Jane Doe had been kept under observation, suspected of catatonia, no visitors. He stood outside her room for a long moment before knocking lightly and stepping in. She was seated by the window, knees pulled to her chest, pale, thin, hair hacked short like someone had done it in the dark with dull scissors. "My name is Leo Rivas," he said gently. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't turn. "I think you saw something. I think you know him." Still no response. Then just before he turned to leave, her voice broke the silence. "He made me watch." Leo froze. "I froze," he said. "Phoenix forgot, so now it has to remember." She turned her face toward him finally, one eye swollen, the other sharp. Alive. "He's not done. He's just getting started." Leo pulled up a chair and sat. He didn't speak. He just waited. Minutes passed. The girl, still no name, began again. There was music, old jazz, playing from a speaker. He talked like he was directing a movie. Said this was just Act 1. Leo wrote that down. "Did he say where he brought you from?" She nodded faintly. "Bus stop, 19th and Monroe. I was just trying to get to my sister's." "And after?" "A warehouse. Cold, smelled like metal, cement floor. He had cameras, lights. He filmed things." Leo's stomach turned. "Did you ever see his face?" She shook her head. "But he wore a mask, white, not a Halloween kind. Theater mask, like something off a stage." Leo exhaled slowly. The pieces were aligning. She looked at him, voice low. He said Amanda was next. He already knew her name. The air left the room. Leo stood. "Thank you. I'll keep you safe." "You can't," she said. "But maybe you can stop him." Outside, Leo called Morales. "He's not copying crimes. He's staging them. Reenactments, statements, and he's got a plan." "You think he's watching?" "No," Leo said. "He's writing the next chapter, and we're already in it." The heat always brought out the worst in the city. That's what Leo used to tell rookies. People lose their minds above 98 degrees. Phoenix in March was already creeping past 90, and something in the air felt off. He drove with the windows down, letting the dust roll in off 7th Avenue. The killer's pattern wasn't just in the victims, it was in the temperature. The history, the heat, 5 victims, 5 locations tied to old crimes. And now, he had a witness. She hadn't said much after their talk, but the little she gave him confirmed one thing. This wasn't about the victims. It was about the city. The killer was performing for Phoenix itself. Leo's next stop was a warehouse district near Van Buren. He scanned every rusted structure, faded signage, and vacant lot. Then he saw it, a boarded-up building with scorch marks on one wall. There was a mural on the side half erased by graffiti, a Phoenix Suns logo beside a quote from a long-forgotten mayor. Inside, it smelled like oil and mold. The floor was dusted with footprints, too small to be construction boots. He kept walking until he found what he didn't want to, a burned-out tripod, melted camera shell, and a smudged handprint on a back window. He photographed everything. Then he turned and saw something else. A chair, bolted to the floor. Metal, clean. It hadn't been used for labor. It had been used for watching. He circled it slowly, a few scuff marks nearby. Someone had been restrained here, maybe with zip ties. Duct tape remnants clung to the ground like dead skin. His phone buzzed. "Morales, you need to get to the corner of 16th and Jefferson," she said. "Now." "What happened?" "He just left us another body." Leo sped through city streets, cutting across traffic, sirens echoing in his wake. When he arrived, the scene was already being taped off. A body under a white tarp, yellow cones, a forensics team kneeling beside a storm drain. Morales met him near the back of a fire truck. Male victim, 30, works for city sanitation, same towel, same zip ties. But this time she handed Leo a clear evidence bag. He left us something else. Inside was a torn page from a book. Leo squinted. It was from a play. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. He looked up. Shakespeare. Morales nodded. He's going full theater now. Leo handed it back. The chair, the jazz music, the mask. He's not just staging murders, he's directing them. Any link to the victim? Leo crouched beside the tarp, pulled it back an inch. Underneath the towel, the victim wore a name tag. T. Harris, City Waste. He recognized the name. Harris was on the crew that demolished the old baseline site 5 years ago. Morales stiffened. So he's going after anyone connected to that era? Not just going after them, Leo said. He's rewriting their history. Later that night, Leo couldn't sleep. He sat in his apartment, every light off, laptop glowing in the dark. He reviewed the evidence, photos, audio notes, the witness testimony. It all pointed to a man obsessed with legacy. The killer wasn't just looking to terrify Phoenix. He wanted to define it. At 2:12 a.m., a new email hit Leo's inbox. No subject, no address, just a single video file. He played it. Static. Then jazz, again, the same record as before. Then a stage, literal this time. Curtains, a single spotlight, and a voice filtered, slow, deliberate. Act 2 begins at sunrise. All seats are front row. Cut to black. Cart sold. Leo stared at the screen. Then he grabbed his keys. Match. Somewhere out there, a new scene was already being set. There were streets in Phoenix that didn't show up on Google Maps. Streets swallowed by freeway expansions, construction detours, city neglect. One of them, an unnamed stretch behind a junkyard south of Van Buren, was where Leo found himself just before dawn. This wasn't on any official list. It was a memory, a ghost. Back in 2006, during the Baseline killer investigation, this alley had come up in a tip. A woman claimed to have heard screaming behind the junkyard wall. Police searched once, found nothing, never went back. Now Leo was standing on that forgotten street, looking at a rusted sign half buried in weeds. Someone had spray-painted a phrase over it. Not all monsters die. He walked past oil drums and scattered tires, through an opening in the fence and into a clearing. That's when he saw it. Another chair. This one wasn't bolted down. It was child-sized, old, wooden, and sitting in the seat a cassette tape. No case, no label. He stared at it. A sound behind him. Leo spun, gun drawn. Nothing. Walter, only wind. He took the tape and left quickly, back through the fence and into his car, heart pounding against his ribs. It felt like the killer had just left. Or maybe he was still nearby. Back at the precinct, Leo and Morales sat in a small audio room. The tape was old, warbled, but it played. Static. Then a voice. A child. I don't like the dark. He says it makes the stories work better. He says the dark is where the city tells the truth. Morales looked at Leo. Is this a recording from one of the survivors? No, Leo said. This sounds older. Decades. Maybe from the baseline era. Maybe even before. So what's he trying to say now? Leo rewound the tape and played the end again. Another voice came through. Older, male, calm, distorted. We returned to where they stopped looking. That's where truth lives. That's where I wait. They sat in silence. The killer wasn't just referencing the past. He was mining it, using the places the city had failed, the victims it had overlooked, the warnings it had ignored. He was turning Phoenix's forgotten corners into his theater, and the next act was already being written. That afternoon, Phoenix PD held a closed-door task force meeting. Photos lined the walls, victims, maps, crime scenes. Strings stretched across the room like a madman's web. Morales pointed to a cluster around Van Buren. Everything keeps circling back here, she said. The junkyard, the canals, the murals, even the transit lines. It's all concentrated. One detective raised a hand. But what about the tape? That kid's voice. Who is she? We're running audio analysis, Morales replied. No hits yet. It's pre-digital. Analog era. If the killer found it in a box somewhere, there's no guarantee she's even alive. Leo stepped forward. But there's a reason he played it now. He wants us listening, remembering. Remembering what? Where we screwed up, what we buried. The room fell quiet. That night, Morales called Leo. There's something else, she said. One of our interns cross-referenced the coordinates from the junkyard with an old development file. There used to be a school there. A school? Yeah. Closed in '93. Torn down. Kids were bussed out to other districts. Leo's voice lowered. And no one's talked about it since. Until now. He opened his laptop and started typing a search. Phoenix Elementary School closure, 1993, South Van Buren. Only one article popped up. A school fire, one child unaccounted for. And beneath the article, in the comments section, just one reply posted 5 days earlier. Some kids don't get to forget. Some of us still live there. Leo read it twice. Then he picked up his phone. How? We need to find who posted that. Now. The desert never sleeps. It just waits. At 4:37 a.m., a passing motorist on Loop 22 outbound called 911. There was a figure in the median, still, upright, almost posed. The voice on the call trembled. It looked like a mannequin, but it wasn't. By the time DPS arrived, the highway was a silent crime scene. A man in a maintenance uniform, seated upright in a folding chair, duct taped to the frame. Phoenix Sun's towel over the chest, face tilted to the sky. Dead. Leo Rivas didn't get called. He was already on the way. It was the posture that told him. The sun was just beginning to rise, streaking the sky blood orange. Commuters were already being rerouted. Chopper blades cut overhead. The media would have the footage within the hour. Morales met him by the concrete barrier. Who found him? Leo asked. Civilian, out for early delivery. He swears the body wasn't there 10 minutes before. Leo stepped closer. The man's ID was visible. Jeremiah Holt, a city maintenance tech, scheduled that morning for freeway cleanup. He never made it to his shift. Leo scanned the body. Clean kill. No visible wounds. Neck bruised. Likely strangulation. Duct tape precisely aligned. Again, too precise. Then he saw something tucked between the towel and the chest. A playing card. But he carefully removed it with tweezers. An old yellow joker, handwritten on the back. Smile wider. They're watching now. Leo showed it to Morales. She stiffened. We have traffic cam footage, he asked. She nodded. We're pulling it. If he's bold enough to do this here, maybe he got sloppy. The footage arrived within the hour. Low res. Grayscale, but enough. At 4:16 a.m., a van pulled onto the shoulder. Hazard lights on. A figure stepped out. Tall, lean, dressed like a road worker. Moved with purpose. The figure opened the rear doors, removed a chair. Then the body. Alone. No hesitation. 4 minutes later, he was gone. But before driving off, the figure walked in front of the van's headlights. Just for a second. And waved at the camera. Morales turned away. He knows we're watching. He wants to be famous. Leo watched the wave on repeat. No, not famous. He wants to be unforgettable. That afternoon, the city boiled. Talk radio screamed about serial killers. Parents pulled their kids from school. Twitter trended with hashtags like highway killer and Suntel murders. The mayor issued a statement urging calm, but calm was already gone. Leo sat in a side office, reading every word of the Joker card again, noticing something indentation, pressure marks, as if it had been pressed against something else. He shaded it with pencil. A second message appeared, faintly scratched into the card beneath the ink. OTS 3, midnight broadcast. He stared at the phrase, then grabbed his phone. The Zide, Morales. We need to lock down every live feed, podcast streamer in the valley. He's going to go public. They didn't find it in time. At exactly midnight, every screen tuned into the local access channel. Channel 11 flickered. Then, static. Then, jazz. The same looping record from the warehouse footage. And then him. A masked figure in a theater spotlight. The same white mask. No eyes. No mouth. Just hollow black holes and a dark suit beneath. He stood beside a dry erase board filled with newspaper clippings, all with the same headlines: PHO Phoenix, serial murder, baseline killer, freeway sniper. And in the center, a photo of Leo Rivas. You want a villain, you want a legacy, but you forgot the script. I'm just helping the city remember. The voice was digitally altered, slow, theatrical. Act 3 has begun, and for my next scene, I need a live audience. Cut to black. 5 seconds of silence. Then the screen blinked once more. Once more. Condiage the fight. See you at dawn. Leo was already dialing Morales, but he knew what she'd say before she picked up. The killer had just gone live, and now the whole city was in the front row. Regret doesn't hit all at once. It comes in pieces. For Leo Rivas, it started with a name he hadn't spoken in years, Ashley Delgado. He'd been one of the last people to see her case file before it was closed in 2006. She was 15, walked out of a laundromat on 16th Street, never seen again. At the time, it was dismissed as a runaway, but Leo knew better. And now the killer had spoken her name. The records room was a maze of cardboard and rusted cabinets. Leo stood in the middle, knuckles tight on the folder he'd just pulled. Case Novza 6245, Delgado, Ashley. Inside, one photo, grainy and faded, a girl with bright eyes and a stubborn set to her jaw. His jaw. He'd made her a promise. Leo flipped through the file. Sparse notes. A single interview with a bus driver who remembered seeing her get on alone. No follow-up, no canvassing, no forensic sweep. He'd buried the file, not out of malice, out of fear. The department had been drowning in serial killings then. One more missing girl was background noise, but now she was echoing louder than ever. Leo drove to South Phoenix, to the street where she'd vanished. The laundromat was gone, now a vape shop with blacked-out windows and a flickering neon open sign. But the alley beside it was still there. He walked it slowly. Every crack in the pavement, every graffiti tag felt familiar. Like guilt, frozen in concrete. A door opened beside him. An old man stepped out, dragging a trash bin. He froze when he saw Leo. You a cop? The man asked. Eu near exped. Sometimes, Leo replied. You remember a girl went missing here. Back in '06. Ashley Delgado? The man nodded slowly. Little thing. Hair always braided. Used to buy soda from my machine. You ever see anything strange the day she vanished? The man hesitated. Heard something. Screaming. Thought it was just another fight in the alley. Leo stepped closer. Why didn't you report it? No one was listening back then. Leo didn't argue. He made one more stop, a nursing home in Glendale. Retired Detective Carl Harmon had been his supervisor in 2006. The man who ordered Ashley's case closed. Harmon looked older than Leo expected. Lost weight. oxygen tank hissing softly beside his recliner. "She was yours," Leo said, setting the file on his lap. Harmon didn't look at it. I told them we needed more time, more manpower," Harmon rasped. "They told me to pick which fires to put out, so I did. She didn't burn, she vanished." "I know." Leo sat down across from him. "He's using her name now. The killer. Dragging her back into this." Harmon closed his eyes. "Then maybe this is our penance." Leo stood and left without a word. Back at his office, Leo pinned Ashley's photo beside the survivor's drawing of the mask. Underneath, he scribbled 2 words. "I failed," then circled it twice. He wouldn't fail again. While the sun was still below the ridge when they found the body. It lay on the trailhead just above the 19th Avenue entrance to South Mountain Park, arms crossed over the chest, towel folded at the feet. This one was different. The killer hadn't hidden it. He had displayed it. But Morales stood beside Leo, both of them silent as the forensics team worked around the scene. A trail runner had stumbled on it just after 5 a.m. and called it in. No mask, no duct tape, no zip ties. Just a man, barefoot, with a message burned into the dirt beside his body. "Don't bury your past." The man was in his mid-40s, muscular, tan lines at the collar and wrists, no ID. But Leo knew who he was before the text confirmed it. Julian Carranza, former PE teacher, terminated in 2007. His connection: he had worked at the same elementary school Ashley Delgado attended before it closed. Leo turned to Morales. "It's not random anymore. He's building a family of the forgotten. Everyone who touched Ashley's case, he's hunting them down." Morales looked grim. "He's not just rewriting the story. He's erasing everyone who told it wrong." The press conference was tense, the mayor flanked by Chief Morrison and Morales. No new details, just tired promises, full mobilization, community safety, task force transparency. But Leo noticed something on the podium as they stepped away. Taped beneath the lip, another Joker card. He peeled it off and turned it over. One phrase written in red: "The mountain doesn't forget. Neither should you." Leo sat in the survivor's hospital room again that evening. She looked stronger, alert. When she saw him, her eyes narrowed. "I saw that man, the one from the trail." Leo froze. "Julian Carranza?" She nodded. "He was in the warehouse, one of the nights. I think they knew each other. The killer, he didn't just talk to me, he talked to him." "What did he say?" "That he'd waited long enough." Leo leaned forward. "Waited for what?" "Waited for what?" The woman closed her eyes. "For us to start remembering." Back at headquarters, Leo spread photos across the board. Ashley, Julian, the playground, the fire, a roster of names from the school's final year. One photo caught his eye. A boy, maybe 10, pale, thin, last name smudged in the records. Withdrawn 2 weeks before the school burned. No forwarding address. No foster care record. Walter, just gone. Leo circled the face. "This is him." Morales looked over his shoulder. "You're saying he didn't just study the past, he lived it." The body had been listed as unidentified. Found 2 weeks ago in a dry irrigation ditch off 27th Avenue. The scene matched everything: zip ties, towel, tape. But this one was different. She wasn't dead. They didn't realize it at first. Paramedics assumed she was gone. But on the way to the morgue, her hand moved. Now she was lying silent in the ICU at Banner University Medical Center. Condition stable but unconscious. And Leo had just gotten the file. He walked the quiet hallway with the steady step of a man preparing for something brutal. Morales followed 2 steps behind, reading the medical report aloud. Jane Doe. Approximately 25. Found with shallow lacerations on wrists, no fingerprints in the system. Likely drugged. No known family yet. "She's not Jane Doe anymore," Leo said. "Run her photo through the missing persons backlog. Start in South Phoenix and work out." The nurse at the desk nodded at them. "She's conscious, but barely speaking. Doctor says she's traumatized, doesn't trust anyone." Leo stepped inside. The woman's eyes were open, barely. One was swollen shut. The other tracked him. He spoke softly. "My name is Leo Rivas. I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't answer. Her lips were cracked. Her breathing was shallow. "I know who did this," he said, "and I think you saw him." Her hand moved slightly under the blanket. Morales approached with a small notepad and pen. "Can you write?" A faint nod. She gripped the pen like it weighed 1,000 pounds, wrote just 2 words. "Black mask." "Like ski mask?" Morales asked. The woman shook her head. Leo leaned in. "White, theater mask?" A slow nod. "Did he speak to you?" Another nod. "What did he say?" She began writing again, slower this time. 4 words. "He called me Ashley." Morales froze. Leo's heart pounded. "Is that your name?" The woman stared at him, then shook her head. Leo stood and paced. "Walter de Mesa, it seems he's using names, personal ones, maybe from another case, from history." Morales checked the database. Ashley Delgado, one of Gudo's unconfirmed cases. A girl who vanished in Synthway 6. Never found. Leo nodded slowly. "He's merging past victims with the present, blurring the lines. Like a play with repeated roles," Morales added. The woman began to write again. Her hand shook. "He said the curtain's coming down." Later that night, Leo stared at the board in his office. He pinned the new photo, her face still bruised. The only known survivor. The killer had slipped. He'd left someone breathing, and now the mask was closer to coming off. Dawn came heavy, smothering, like Phoenix itself was holding its breath. Police scanners crackled with tension. There was no sign of the killer at the morning shift changes. No body, no chair, no towel, just silence. Until a woman walked into the front lobby of KPNX Channel 12 with a burner phone in a Ziploc bag. "I found this under my windshield," she said, shaking. "Outside the gym. No note, just this." Security handed it to police. The phone had one number in its call log. It wasn't random. It had dialed Leo Rivas. The phone was powered off when they received it. Forensics examined it first. No prints, no messages, no photos. Wiped clean except for the call. Then, as Leo stood with Morales in the lab, it lit up. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. "Rivas." A pause. Then static. Then jazz. Soft, warped, like it was playing from a record in another room. And then the voice. Slow. Filtered. Familiar. "Detective, I hope you slept well." Leo said nothing. Walter said, "I'm disappointed, you know. No one applauded my broadcast. No one really understood the art. You're not an artist. You're a coward with a prop box." The voice chuckled. "Careful. Words like that might get you written out of the next act. You want attention? You have it, but this ends with you in cuffs or a body bag. Your call. Bold. But you're forgetting the rules of the stage." A beat of silence. No one kills the playwright before the final curtain. Then the line went dead. Morales leaned in. "We get a trace." The tech shook her head. He was bouncing through 2 VPNs in a remote tower. Clean exit. Leo set the phone down slowly. He's accelerating. He wants a confrontation. And what's the next move? Leo's jaw clenched. "We bait him. We give him what he wants, a stage, but we control the lighting." Later that afternoon, Leo and Morales sat with the Channel 12 news director. "We want a live segment," Morales said. "Short, 1 minute, no questions, just Leo talking directly into the camera." The director blinked. "You're using the news to talk to him?" Leo nodded. "He started it. I'm finishing it." At 7:58 p.m., Channel 12 cut into regular programming. Leo Rivas stood under the lights, no script, just his eyes locked on the lens. "You're not a ghost. You're not a myth. You're a man with a mask, hiding from a past you don't understand. You think this city forgot what it survived, but we haven't. I haven't." He leaned in closer. "If you're so sure this is a story worth telling, come finish it. I'll be waiting." Then the screen went black. An hour later, the burner phone rang again. This time the voice was slower, darker. There was something almost strained in it. Clever. Using the camera. Using their fear. Leo stayed silent. I accept your invitation. Then came something new. A sound Leo hadn't heard before. A child crying. Then a woman's voice, muffled, distant, and one final phrase. Don't forget your lines, detective. The name was buried deep in an archive transfer log. Leo sat in the records room, blue light flickering from the old microfiche screen. The boy with no forwarding address, he finally had one. Elias Cade, withdrawn from school 2 weeks before the fire. No transfer, no guardians. The file ended with a single note. Protective custody. Redacted. Leo's breath caught. Morales stood behind him, reading over his shoulder. Why protective custody? She asked. Leo scrolled forward, heart pounding. Because he wasn't a victim, he was a witness. And suddenly, the mask wasn't just a disguise. It was a shield. A wall built by a boy left behind by the system, and now, a man remaking the city in his own fractured image. Banner University's archives had only one remaining file tied to Elias Cade. A psychiatric intake form from 1994. The handwriting was shaky. Doctor's notes sparse. Night terrors. Withdrawn. Fear of fire. Displays advanced reading level. Draws only in red ink. There was one visitor listed during his 6-month hold. D. Mercer, CPS field agent. Leo tapped his pen against the name. He's the one who buried Elias. Morales checked the system. Daryl Mercer, retired. Mesa, listed under a post-op hospice center. The room smelled like bleach and wilted flowers. Mercer was in bed, too thin for his frame, eyes clouded but still sharp. Leo held up a photo of the mask. Recognize this. Mercer blinked. Too late for that, detective. You already know who it is. Tell me about Elias. He was smart, too smart, said things a kid shouldn't. Saw the fire before it started, drew it, told me he'd be blamed for it if he talked. Did he talk? Mercer nodded slowly. He said the man who lit the fire wore a badge. Leo went cold. And you buried the file. I didn't bury it. I handed it to the police. They told me it was dealt with. Morales looked at Leo. Who was the officer in charge? Leo opened the case record. One name on the signature line. Carl Harmon. The same man who shut Ashley Delgado's case down. Back in the precinct, Leo stared at the pentagram map again. Each point now had a name, each victim tied back to the elementary school. All except one. The center. He pulled up city blueprints, gas lines, abandoned utility access. There, in the middle of the grid, Central City Water Treatment Plant. Closed in 2008. Isolated. Underground chambers. Concrete tunnels. That's the stage, Leo whispered. That's where the final act goes down. Morales grabbed her vest. Then we end this now. The Central City Water Treatment Plant sat like a carcass at the center of Phoenix. Leo and Morales arrived just before midnight. No power, no surveillance. Chain-link fence cut. The killer wanted them here. SWAT formed up, boots crunching over dry gravel. Air heavy with rust and ammonia. Leo carried a flashlight in one hand, pistol in the other. Inside, echoes ruled. Pipes groaned. Doors creaked on hinges no one had touched in years. But beneath it all, music. Jazz. The library's Daquin Thor. Tigtia toned him. It drifted up from the tunnels below. The descent was like a memory, dark, narrow, heavy with the weight of things left behind. Leo led Morales close. Behind them, 2 SWAT officers swept each corridor. A wall of graffiti and mildew framed their descent. The music grew louder, more distorted, like a record looping through a nightmare. At the base of the stairwell, a massive iron door stood half open. Inside, a stage. Not just any stage. The exact replica of the one from the livestream, pallets, chairs, spotlight rigged to a generator still humming in the corner. But the chairs weren't empty. 4 mannequins, each dressed to resemble one of the past victims. Their faces painted, towels folded in their laps. And in the center chair, a mask. Leo approached slowly. The mask was propped on a wooden spike, a note beneath it, handwritten in red. ACT-4, the burden. Leo lifted it. Another message beneath. It ends where it began. But Morales scanned the room. He's not here. Not yet, Leo said. He's watching. Suddenly, a monitor sparked to life in the far corner. Static. Then the killer's voice. "Welcome, detective. You've followed the clues. You've seen the stage. But do you see the guilt stitched into the set?" The camera cut to a new room. Live feed. Someone tied to a chair, mouth taped, head down. Morales gasped. "That's Harmon. Carl Harmon, the retired officer, the man who buried Elias's file." The killer's voice echoed again. "Choose, Leo. Do you carry the burden, or pass it to him?" A countdown began on the monitor. Leo gripped the pistol harder. "No more games," he said. They sprinted down the corridor shown in the feed, following the thick electrical cables strung along the ground, through rusted doors, around old holding tanks. Then a sound, low breathing. They burst through a final door. There, tied to a pipe, bruised and weak, Harmon. Leo moved fast, cutting the restraints. Harmon looked up, dazed. "He's still here," Harmon croaked. He said, "No curtain without confession." Morales checked the corners. Empty. Leo turned to the wall. A final message scratched into the concrete. "Now the city decides." A camera blinked red. They were live. The camera's red light blinked like a heartbeat. Leo stared straight into it. "Phoenix," he said, voice steady. "You've been watching. You've seen the victims. You've seen the stage. Now you need to hear the truth." Behind him, Harmon coughed, blood in his throat. Morales stayed silent. Leo continued. "Years ago, we failed a boy named Elias Cade. His name was buried, his story ignored. We let him slip through the cracks. I did nothing to stop it. Neither did the man behind me." He turned slightly to face Harmon. "You signed the file. You closed it." Harmon didn't deny it. "I thought it was handled. I thought we were protecting the department. You protected a lie." The camera feed zoomed in slightly. Leo stepped closer. "If Elias is watching, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm owning what we did. This is our confession, but the cycle doesn't end with more death. It ends now." A second camera clicked on. Static cleared. A child's drawing came into frame. Red ink, jagged lines, a school on fire. Then Elias's voice, soft, unfiltered. "You finally see it. The fire was never the end. It was the opening act." From hidden speakers around the room, Elias's voice filled the chamber. "Do you know what it feels like to be invisible? Not just ignored, not just forgotten, but erased. You made me a ghost, so I became one." Leo scanned the ceiling, the walls tracking the sound. "I didn't make you a ghost, Elias," he called. "I made a mistake. But this is murder." "It's theater," Elias replied. "It's consequence." A hiss of hydraulics broke the silence. A panel on the far wall slid open. Behind it, a staircase leading downward, concrete steps into complete darkness. "Final act," Elias said. "Alone." Leo turned to Morales. "You stay. Guard Harmon. Call in backup." "Leo." He held up a hand. "This is mine to finish." The staircase reeked of mold and copper. Water dripped. Echoes carried too far. Halfway down, Leo found more drawings, taped to the walls, all in red. A boy under a staircase. A man in a mask. A detective with hollow eyes. And then one final page. A city burning, with a child watching from below. At the base of the stairwell stood a metal chair and a projector. It clicked to life as Leo approached. Old footage flickered. Ashley Delgado, smiling in a school play, laughing, alive. "I remembered her more than any of you ever did," Elias's voice said, now directly behind Leo. Leo turned slowly. And there he was. Elias Cade. No mask, no theater. Just a man, thin and calm, and absolutely still. "You followed the script," Elias said. Leo raised his hand slightly. "I'm not here to kill you." Elias nodded. "But you thought about it." "I thought about a lot of things, mostly what I could have done differently." Elias tilted his head. "You confessed. But confession doesn't end the play. The audience decides." Leo looked into his eyes. "Then give them an ending that matters. One without more blood." A long silence. Then Elias stepped back, sat in the metal chair. and raised his hands. "I'm done hiding." Leo approached slowly, cuffed him without resistance. No last words, no drama. Just a curtain slowly falling. The footage looped across every major network by dawn. Leo's confession. Elias's surrender. The final image. A man, broken but breathing, led out of the depths of Phoenix by the detective who once failed him. And just like that, the killing stopped. There were no new bodies, no more broadcasts, no cryptic messages, just silence. The kind that presses against your chest after a storm. But for Leo Rivas, it wasn't over. A week passed, then two. Phoenix moved on, the way cities do. Headlines faded, hashtags dropped. People posted "never forget" while trying to forget as fast as possible. Leo couldn't. He gave his statement. Testified. Cooperated. Turned in every piece of evidence the department requested. Even Harmon, weak but alive, faced a formal inquiry for mishandling the Elias Cade file. The mayor called Leo a hero. The chief shook his hand. There was talk of commendation. He didn't want it. He wanted answers. How Elias refused interviews. No press, no outbursts. He sat in his cell in Maricopa County Jail, quiet and compliant. Leo visited once, not to interrogate, to understand. Through the thick glass, Elias only said one thing. "You ended the act, but the audience, they're still watching." Then he hung up the receiver. Morales returned to duty 2 days later. But something in her had changed too. "We stopped him," she said over coffee. "But it doesn't feel like a win." Because it wasn't. Leo dropped a file on the table, unmarked. Thin. "What's this?" she asked. "Footage from the alley where we found Danielle Masters." She flipped it open. Surveillance footage. Danielle barely walking, leaning against a wall. Then a figure stepped into frame. Not Elias. Taller, broader, helped her stand, handed her a phone, then vanished into the dark. "There was someone else," Morales whispered. Leo nodded. "A second act," he said. "And maybe a second playwright." The figure in the footage was careful. No clear face, no identifying marks. But the body language was wrong for a bystander. Calm, intentional. Leo replayed it again and again. He watched the way the man steadied Danielle. Not with urgency, with choreography. He knew the camera was there, Morales said. This was staged. Leo tapped the frame. "Which means the show's not over. We've been watching a dress rehearsal." They dove into Elias Cade's life. Not just his childhood, but everything since. There were years he simply vanished from records. No employment, no taxes, no trace. Off-grid. But someone had to be helping him. Morales dug through old juvenile records. He had one cellmate at the youth facility in Flagstaff, a kid named Ramsey Bly. In for arson. Leo raised an eyebrow. That fits the theme. They pulled Ramsey's file. Released at 18. 2 stints in private security. Went dark around 2020. But there was a payment record. A wire transfer from a dummy account tied to a shell nonprofit Curtain Call Foundation. Registered to a P.O. box in Tucson. "Let's go," Leo said. The box led them to a storage unit. No rental history under Ramsey's name, but the lock had fresh scratches. Morales jimmied it open. Inside, a row of mannequins, folded chairs, stage lighting, a filing cabinet full of old playbills and hand-annotated scripts. Leo flipped one open. Act 4. The Phoenix Rises. Lines circled, notes in 2 distinct handwritings. One set belonged to Elias. The other was sharper, more formal, directed. This was never a solo performance, Leo said. Elias might have been the voice, but this guy? He wrote the ending. Morales found a burner phone in the cabinet. Plugged in, a single text sat on the screen. "Opening night is set. You'll know when the lights come on." Leo's blood chilled. "Then we're not just chasing him," he said. "We're racing him." It was over, but Phoenix didn't know what to do with peace. For the first time in 2 months, there were no new headlines. No breaking news, just cleanup, trauma, debriefings, and silence. Ramsey Bly was in federal custody. Elias Cade was still awaiting trial. The media moved on to elections and celebrity scandals. But for Leo Rivas, the city still felt like a stage after the actors had left. Props broken, lights flickering. He walked Civic Space Park a week later. The stage had been dismantled. The grass was scorched where the floodlights once stood. A few flowers were taped to the fence. Notes, messages, forgiveness and fury. Leo didn't feel either. Only a question. What now? The department offered Leo time off, therapy, awards. None of it mattered. He spent most of his days in the archives. He wasn't looking for new cases. He was looking for gaps. But names like Ashley's, files missing pages, mistakes they'd ignored, stories that might have been buried the same way. Morales visited once a week, brought coffee, sat in silence. One evening she broke it. "Do you ever sleep?" "Not since March." They didn't talk about the final performance, about Ramsey, or Harmon, but she left an envelope on his desk that night. "It's from county lockup," she said. Leo waited until she left to open it. Inside, a single sheet, neatly folded, Elias's handwriting. "Detective Rivas." The city got its ending. "I'm not sure that means anything. We build truth out of broken pieces, and sometimes the shape we make isn't justice, it's noise. But you listened. That matters. There are more like me. You know that now. Kids who vanished before the fire, before Ashley. We kept records. We kept names. Some of them never made it out. If you really want peace, find them. It was never just about me."
Again.
Leo set the letter down, and then picked up a pen and started a new list. Leo's new list started with names, then patterns, then the gaps between them. The files Elias hinted at weren't in the standard system. Some weren't even in storage. But Leo found their edges, case numbers misfiled, photos without subjects, incident reports labeled inconclusive or no further action. The deeper he dug, the more he found them. Children listed as transients, removed from the district, no follow-up, no family contact, just dropped. He created a wall in the archive room. Faces, maps, arrows, and a question at the top. Who else did we forget? Morales joined him 2 days in. She said nothing, just added a photo to the board. A girl with red berets and no last name. Leo nodded. "I found 6 more this morning." They worked in silence for hours, cross-checking housing records, foster assignments, and school closures. A pattern began to emerge. In 1996, a private transitional care facility was quietly shut down. Sierra Haven Youth Center. It was supposed to house at-risk children awaiting placement. Instead, it lost track of 27. Leo stared at the spreadsheet. "There's no formal investigation on file." Morales checked an old registry. "Guess who sat on the oversight board?" Leo didn't answer. She flipped the binder. Carl Harmon. Again. That night, Leo drove to Sierra Haven. The building still stood on the outskirts of Glendale. Boarded windows, graffiti, but the fence was cut. He walked the perimeter, snapped photos, then saw it. The fresh footprints. Someone had been here recently. Inside, the halls were gutted, files scattered, water damage rotted the ceiling tiles. But deep in the records room, Leo found a file cabinet still intact. Locked, he pried it open. Inside, medical files, psychological evaluations, daily logs signed with initials. He opened the first one. The photo stunned him. Not Elias, not Ramsey. Morales. 10 years old. Institutional ID clipped to her collar. Leo backed away slowly, heart pounding. He turned to leave, and Morales stood in the doorway. "I was hoping you'd find it eventually," she said. Leo didn't speak at first. The silence in the records room felt like another body, dense, unmoving. Morales stepped inside slowly. Her tone didn't shake. "I was 10, in and out of Sierra Haven for 3 years. I barely remember most of it, but I remember him." Leo set the file down. "You knew Harmon?" She nodded. "He wasn't just oversight. He ran the place unofficially. The staff deferred to him. Sometimes he came alone, sometimes with others." Leo studied her. "You could have told me." Morales crossed her arms. "Would you have listened?" "I would have questioned everything. but I would have listened. She pointed to the wall of faces. I wasn't the only one. There were dozens. Some older, some gone. Leo turned back to the file cabinet. Why now? Because you weren't ready to believe it before. No one was. And because I didn't know if I could trust myself. Leo took a breath. Did Elias know? Morales shook her head. We never met inside, but I recognized him the moment he took off that mask. She handed him another file, one she'd kept. Someone else was always watching us, organizing transfers, cleaning up records. Ramsey was Elias's fire, but there was someone else feeding them names. Leo scanned the document. A name surfaced. Not a police officer, not a doctor. Vincent Riker. Private sector, educational consulting, contractor for the state, oversight role at Sierra Haven for 2 years, and listed now as missing since April. Leo stood up. He's the final piece. Morales didn't move. And what if he's already planning the next act? Leo looked at her steady. Then we tear the stage down before he can light the fuse. No forwarding address, no credit trail. His last confirmed location, a cabin in the Bradshaw Mountains rented under an alias, paid in cash. Leo and Morales didn't wait for a warrant. They drove north before dawn. Snow dusted the treetops as they crept up the unpaved road. Pines whispered above them. The cabin appeared like a scar in the woods, old, windowless, deliberate. Morales parked 200 feet away. They moved in silent tandem, flashlights off, boots crunching ice. A wind chime stirred. Leo motioned to the door. Morales checked the perimeter. Unlocked. They entered. The inside was clinical. Spartan, maps pinned to walls, file folders stacked with military precision. An old CRT monitor blinked blue in the corner. And there he was. Vincent Riker. Seated, calm, hands folded. I was wondering when you'd come, he said. Leo raised his weapon. Don't move. I'm not here to run. That part's over. Morales stepped in. You were feeding Elias names. I was correcting the state's failures, Riker said. They buried those children. I archived them. Leo stepped closer. You turned trauma into theater. Riker didn't flinch. Elias lit the stage. Ramsey ran the spotlight. I kept the script honest. Morales held up a file. This isn't honesty. It's orchestration. He looked at her. You made it out. That was the point. No, she snapped. The point was justice. You turned it into spectacle. Riker looked between them, and you two made it compelling. Bravo. Leo cuffed him. No resistance. No threat. But as they turned to leave, Riker said one last thing. And this story isn't mine anymore. It belongs to the ones still watching. Back in Phoenix, the files were handed over to the Attorney General. Sierra Haven's victims were named. Compensation began. Records were reopened. Leo and Morales gave their statements. Then they went back to the wall. A few faces were crossed off now. Found. Safe. Most weren't. But Leo no longer saw ghosts. He saw proof. Proof that the past speaks. That buried stories rise. That justice can take the shape of fire or light. Thanks for listening. Stay sharp. Stay safe. Enjoyed the story? Hit that like button to support the channel and subscribe for more original crime fiction.